Hello everyone, let's understand the concept of runtime objects in the QTP. Let's remind few things quickly that we have already discussed. In QTP there are two types of objects. The first one is test objects, or you can call it as TO, and the second thing is runtime objects. Okay, runtime objects where you can call it as a RO. So TO are the objects that we have saved into our object repository, whereas RO are the objects onto your application, the application that you are currently using. The objects that are appearing on those application are your runtime objects. Okay, so we will understand the runtime object concept using three methods. The first one is get to properties. Okay, the next is get to property, and the third one is get RO property. Okay, the last two property methods will take the parameter as property name. Okay, similarly this will also take the property name. Okay, the difference between these two properties are, the first one will return all the properties of your object repository, whereas this second method will return the property that you define into a parameter. And the difference between the last two is, this method will return the property value from object repository, whereas get RO property will return the value from your application. Okay, let's see this from the QTP. Okay, we will use this application, the simple login.html page. Let me refresh this page. Okay, so we have the login object here. Okay, so let's use the get TO properties method on the login object itself. So what is the name of the method? Is get to properties. Okay, this property will return the collection of properties, so we will capture it in a variable and put the set keyword, because this is a collection of the object. So if you go to the object repository, here your login object has these properties. So get to properties method will return all these properties and its values. Okay, now if you want to access the properties here, let's take one variable where we will capture the count of the collection. Okay, now we will iterate from 0, as in all the collection in QTP index starts from the 0, so we will use this. Now I want to get the name of each property and the value of each property, so let's take the prop name. Okay, so we will use this object all prop with its index, okay, and dot name. Okay, so in this way you can use the name, and if you want to use the value here, you can write the value. Okay, now let's print this thing into the message box, so we'll see what the name of the property is and what is the value. Okay, so prop name here, and let's say put the equals to mark here. Okay, and here prop value. Okay, now let's execute this code. Now see here, see the first property name is type and its value is text, name, then value is login, make class is webedit, and the next is HTML tag, that is input. So these are all the properties that we have captured into our object repository. Okay, the next is get to property. Here we will use the method as get to property. Okay, now let's say the property name is value. So what this will return? It will return a value. So here we need not require a set, because it is not returning any object. So let's say we will use this. Now if you, let's say what is the value of this? Prop value. Okay, let me comment this code. Now if you execute this, so get to property will return the value of this mentioned property when you did the recording of this object. Okay, so if I execute this, it will return a blank, because at the time of recording the value of this field is blank. Okay, now let's say if I put the test over here. Okay, let's stop this, and now again I execute this code. still this will return you a blank value. Why? Because it is returning the object repository value. Okay, now let's change it to the get RO property. Now if you execute this code, see, it will return you a test. Why? This is the difference between the get to property and the get RO property. Get RO property will work onto the application. So when this statement is executing, at this time the application is in the state where the value of this edit box is test. That's why it is returning a test. If you use the get TO property here, it will return you the value at the time of recording. So these are the basic difference, and using these three methods you can use the runtime objects in your script. That's all about the runtime objects. Thank you.